From the hallowed halls of judicial education in her homeland of Turkey to the choral suites of New York's collegiate academia, Sevin Yaraman has used the song in her heart to teach the youth, enlighten the masses, and to share praise with the faithful. This is the portrait of Sevin Yaraman.
I was about 4 years old and I saw a piano and I wanted to have piano very badly. So they bought a very, very inexpensive, almost dying piano, thinking that I'm going to play a couple of days and then drop it. I think I made a lot of noises and my father realized that it's time that I will have some instructions. And he took me to one of his friends, who was the teacher at the conservatory at the time, Rana Erksan. So I started there, and then I went to conservatory, and step by step, until I was 18, I was in the conservatory, piano performance and theory. That's what I studied basically there.
It was the beauty of the piano that impressed Sevin, who heard the mysteries that lay underneath the keys. Being so attuned to the music helped lead her down a slightly different course than her father imagined.
At the age of 16, that was the time to apply universities. And university exam is a big trauma for students when they are in finishing the high school. So I wanted to do something serious. And the political situations were very grim at the time. I said, I'm not going to just play piano, bang, bang, bang. I have to do something. So I wanted to become a journalist. So I told my father that I want to be a journalist, who is also a university professor. He said, if you want to be a journalist, I think you shouldn't go to journalism school, but you should go to law school. So you can be any of those things. It can be journalists, and I know it's an old school, but he didn't know that was an old school at the time, and I didn't know it was an old school, and I went to law school.
Set ablaze by the winds of social change, Sevin abandoned music to pursue a more proactive career. It was the chimes of destiny years later and in a foreign land which led her back to her first and truest calling.
I heard somebody was playing piano in the elevator, and I came out from the elevator and started to walk around, and I met the head of the department who had been in Turkey and who is actually a scholar on Turkish music. We started to talk, and then I came home and I said, that's it, this is not a coincidence, I think I'm going to go back to music. So the next morning I had more formal meeting with the same person, and finally I applied and I started a PhD in music.
Sevin discovered her destiny lay in music, but her composition was not a solo. Instead, it is a continuing love song shared by Sevin and the students of Fordham University in Manhattan. For almost 10 years, Sevin has taught basic music appreciation at the Venerable School, regaling her wide-eyed pupils with stories of her musical beginnings in Turkey, teaching by way of her life experiences. How she does it is proof that it works.
My father was a teacher, and I saw him doing it. He was one of the greatest teachers that he used to teach me. I mean, he was teaching math in university, but he wasn't just a teacher in the classroom. You cannot ask him one question and get a simple answer. He said, where did you park the car? He tells the whole story chronologically and how he maneuvered the park to that very particular spot. By the time you finish it, you have the map of the neighborhood, the car's angles and everything. I grew up with hearing this kind of descriptions, and it really becomes second nature for me.
To point out two very important aspects of music, silence and sound. Because if you don't have silence, you won't have sound. Okay, so the music really basically a replacement of silence to sound. That's why right now, no music, and then bam 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 ba ba bam ba da da da. No music. Even within the music, even the sound during the music, the silence and sound alternation is very important.
Developing a connection with a class is equally important. Somehow, Savine's witty tales and piano interludes do the trick that boring statistics and charts could never hope to accomplish.
You can answer it by knowing it, not with the definitions. So, since I don't like definitions, I don't really give great definitions either. But the melody, first of all, is a piece, a segment of music. I'm saying this might not be entirely inclusive. A piece of music that presents a beginning, a middle, and an end. I cannot give definitions and I cannot give one answers, things like that. But I can explore. That is, definitions are being looked at as if absolute things. And I'm not going to do any philosophy of that. I'm not qualified for that. But I'm just talking about music books. I can give you 15 different music intro books, and they would define the melody in different ways. So if it is so relative to the author, what is the point for me to give? I will just give the elements. That without that, melody doesn't exist, and then they can make their definitions. I think that's practical reason. It's not a philosophical objection, but practically, and also it is harder to remember. That classroom is very important for me. Those kids, can you imagine such a privilege to go there? 36 people are looking at you. You are not going to waste that moment. 36 young people giving 1 hour, 15 minutes to you. I'm not just going to tell them melody. I want to connect them. It's very important. That's probably that enthusiasm. That's why the chocolate story comes to me at that point. I would have shared with a friend. But at that very particular moment, they are part of my life and they are friend. Therefore, I bring it up. And I want them to see me as a human rather than just a professor, human who can teach. I have a very good friend who is one of the greatest scholars of United States right now. We went to see a film last year when she came to visit us in New York and stay with us. And she stayed with us 2 nights. And then we went to a film. We sat down, this beautiful movie we are watching. This guy next to her opened up a chocolate this big and started to eat. But the film itself didn't start. And I said to my friend, can you please ask him a piece? I said, are you out of your mind? She said, I won't. I said, but look at this, he is so big. So, and he's a very nice young man. You know, you're 20 years younger than I am. I can ask. Said, no, you cannot do it. It was very hard for me because I really like chocolate. And so we took the train, we came home, and we said, oh, let's stop by to the corner store. We went to the corner store. He said, well, I have no chocolates, but I have chocolate bars. I said, no, I want chocolate. Well, we went home. We slept that night, and next morning I had to come to work and she went somewhere, but then she went home to pick up her luggage, and when I came at night, about 6:30, there was nobody else at home. I walk in, she already left for Ohio, and the kitchen table, I saw a big package like this. I open it, it's a huge chocolate. She said, thank you so much for everything you've done. Dissonances needs to be resolved. I found that this is a beautiful way to carry our relationship, which is musical, to carry the regular relationship can happen between anybody. dissonances has to resolve in life or in music, absolutely. So keep that in mind, internalize it, how to really resolve dissonances. And if you really find out in the music, you will find out other dissonances as well. You hear that? Can I leave the piece like this? No. 2.5 years ago, when my mother was in the hospital, Chapa, in a location that is millions and millions of mosques all over it. And early in the morning one day, I got up very early. And that was the first prayer time. And I heard one prayers coming. And I set to start saying a prayer. I couldn't even finish it. I heard another one coming. Another one is coming. Another one coming. And in about, if my polyphonically trained ear is right, I found 15 entrants, the same start. It was a very uplifting experience. But what was so interesting at the end, it was a spiritual experience at that very important moment in my life. But I heard everything as music too. Everything came like notes. He enters in C, that enters E. At the end, I realized that I make this clusters of notes that I really heard it. Because that's me, that's my second nature. I hear things as notes as well. So that was the beginning of really interest of music and Islam. So I talked to quite a few very respected and knowledgeable people in the topic.
One of her interests lies in studying the harmony between music and spirituality. It's a connection which first unveiled itself on a journey to Turkey, while she devotedly sat by her then ailing mother's side.
We all, heard one way or another that the very first Sema was created by Hazreti Mevlana Jalaluddin Rumi. When he heard this, people were actually working on a medal. Whether that happened or not, again, I don't know. I read it, and it's there. That's all I can say. And then when he hearing it, start really turning. Whether that happening the way it is or not, it is not even important for me. But definitely, that started a way of, when I read that, started the way of looking at the music. What is it in the music of those people doing it that created that? And also the definition of music. It wasn't even a music. People were working and banging on the metal. So I think the whole idea of music cooperated with the body and in the worship, the Sufi tradition started with that, but everybody does it in different ways.
Some believe the body is a temple, and if that's true, Savine theorized that our body must be a divine instrument, specifically built for worship through speech and movement. But while we play musical instruments to entertain, music can also allow our instrument to sing faithful praise.
We live, we exist in a body, and we have a spirit to fill it. But can we live the body outside? No, we can't. I am talking. I'm not saying a universal truth. No. Our daily formal canonic prayers have a very strict choreography, right? That involves body. So what is the role of body and music and all those combinations?
So I started to think about that, and I saw that it's actually all spiritual traditions have body involvement. And that took me to Sufism, starting with Mevlevi dervishes, which is the most accessible and amazing and fascinating for lots of people. But not only there, with all those different Sufi paths and how they actually integrate their faith and their worship into music and body, and what's the role of it.
Away from her piano and youthful scholars, Savine enjoys exploring the virtues of different religions and cultures, broadening her perspective of faith as well as developing cherished relationships. Tonight, Jewish, Christian, and other spiritual walks are represented as Savine cooks for a close circle of women, come to bid a fond farewell to one of their own.
I'm a member of a multi-faith organization. It is part of a seminary in New York. And we normally meet twice a year to decide what's going to happen for the next year and the agenda and all that. But this tonight is particularly important and meaningful because one of our founding members are leaving New York, Minur Ali. She was the woman who introduced me to this organization. So it's very meaningful. That's precisely why I wanted to do all this cooking. Normally I don't do this.
Savine is humble about her cooking, but only a truly special friend could move her to whip up such a feast of Turkish delights. But their first meeting foretold of their close bond.
After September 11, we were all devastated, and my husband and I went to the second day. That was Tuesday, and this was Thursday. We went to this church on 5th Avenue, a big multi-faith gathering they made, and he and I went there. We sobbed the entire time. At the end, I went one of the imams. There were like 4 or 5 imams represented. I look at one of them that invited me, and I walked to him. I said, I would like to talk to you. I'm a Muslim woman. I don't have a community. I'm alone. Oh, he said, you want to talk to my wife? Come with me. So we went outside and we met this very respectful, wonderful person, Minur Ali. So she got up from the car and she said, oh sure, no problem, come Friday to 96th Street Mosque and let's do this, let's do that. And then 1 week later she take me to Auburn Seminary and throw me into that room. Here is all these friends of mine. You are safe here. This is our safe place. We talk everything. Everybody is faithful here, but we just love each other's faith.
I brought you something very special.
Really? Your son?
Oh, not that special, excuse me. No, it's special for me.
Okay. Okay.
I want to give you my prayer book.
Oh, how nice. Oh, that's nice.
So you can let your husband use it if he wants.
I'm going to miss her an awful lot, she's been part of this group, and she's been sort of an outside friend, in addition, and so that's what it's been.
It's a real safe place. You can talk all your concerns about each other's faiths, or all the other issues, all the alienations and hurts or connections. We call it Abraham's desk. It's going very well, and I learn a lot about them. They learn a lot about me and my faith. We invite a lot of people to talk to us as well.
My name is Sevin Yaraman. Those of you who don't remember or don't know. One thing I'd like to share with you tonight, that the project that I've been working on for a long time, finally I have I found a publisher for the book, and it is about faith, all sorts of faith and their connection with the music, and particularly with the body. And so I'll be doing mostly Sufi music and Sephardic traditions and some Buddhist traditions as well. So that's
We should have that music on right now. We should.
yes. So I was really so eager to share that with you because
So wonderful.
Yeah,
I got a call from a seminary student who wanted to see what we had on books on Judaism and healing and music, and I said, we really don't have much, but now I'm very excited to hear about
it's not
what
really
you're doing.
it's still, I don't think there is much, although it doesn't mean that there is no healing in music, but this is basically how can we really worship with our body rather than how can we
No, that's
heal.
exactly what I think she was interested in, and
Yeah.
we don't have much on that, so
Yeah.
it'd be great if we can hear about all the books that everyone is publishing, because it's a new year and I have a new budget, and I'd like to
It is an orchestra of many instruments, but one tune, the song of togetherness. Their spirituality proudly shining in their eyes, these women join together to celebrate triumphs, mourn over loss, and encourage continued devotion. Each has their own cultural identity to lean on for guidance and support. But they know that if they should ever start to fall in the other direction, there will be someone there to steady their walk and set them back on course. Like the song says, that's what friends are for.
We decided about 5.5, 6 years ago that we like to have a family, and we decided to apply adoption agencies, and Sinan was born. Sinan is his name. Sinan Yaraman Yarmi. He was born in South Korea and came born into our family when he was 4.5 months old. And it changed my life, my existence tremendously. I like to raise my son in the straight line and as a good man and good education and with good heart. We do everything, but we can create the results. But I would like to do as much as I can.
Every laugh, every moment spent with Sinan brings Sevin that much closer to her life's fulfillment. Her family is the final refrain in her song. Now she needs only to teach her young son how to make music all his own. Sinan gives Sevin's life new energy, along with a touch of clarity.
Sometimes people feel, especially the diaspora, people who are separated from their original country. I used to call this as a voluntary exile. I don't feel it anymore. It's almost like an insult to divinity to say exile, because Earth is this little tiny place that, where are you? Where is the exile? I think one of the greatest things that I discovered about myself, that as long as you have the fulfillment inside, spiritual and mental, naturally there's no exile.
For Savine Yaraman, the chords of life's journey have come together in graceful harmony. She is a devoted teacher who graciously shares her musical gift and timeless stories with anyone and everyone in her class. She is a scholarly musician, educating the world on the place music has in its spiritual growth. She is a faithful Muslim woman who opens her arms to people of all faiths for dialogue and communal bonding. And she is an adoring mother, raising an adopted son in an adopted land and loving every minute of it. And if you don't believe it, she'll sing you a little song about it.
That's it.